Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have another Deadpool and Wolverine film, and I am super excited to go over the first 30 to 40 minutes per rumors and descriptions from certain people who got to see it. So without further ado, we're going to dive straight into this video and get ready because it sounds amazing. So essentially, the Marvel Studios logo starts to roll, and Deadpool starts singing "Na Na Na," and we don't know why, but then he goes on to explain to you that this film is said, quote unquote, they were saying it's to honor Logan, but he says, no, that's not what it's about. And then essentially it goes on where he goes and he digs up Logan's grave, looking to see if Logan is still alive. But all he finds is adamantium bones, and he's pretty sad about it, and he's like, man, this sucks. However, he starts to play around with the bones, and the TVA agents show up, and he starts fighting them using Wolverine's adamantium covered bones, which you saw here in this photo that I put out the other day, which was from the trailer, which is super awesome. It's super detailed. The fact that he's gonna, pull out these bones and he's gonna use them to fight. Like, what isn't a weapon to Deadpool? So essentially, Deadpool goes on and the intro goes in, and it starts off by Bye 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 by NSYNC. And Deadpool goes on to say, there are 206 bones in the human body, 207 if I'm watching Gossip Girl. Pretty much Deadpool dances to the NSYNC and kills the agents. The actors' names are written all over the bones, which is really cool. It's a small little detail. Deadpool wears Wolverine's claws and pushes them inside an agent's butt and the other claw inside another stomach, and they beg him to finish them, and he says, "Wolverining is hard, sorry." Before he finishes, he explains how he didn't want to be in this situation, but he had to do it to save his world, which is obviously going to lead into the paradox thing, I'm assuming. And it's cool that we're going to be seeing Deadpool with Wolverine claws on. That's just a really cool tidbit and a really cool difference in it. Maybe it's even a nod to the Deadpool we saw in X-Men Origins, where he had the big old claw of the katana. I don't know. It just sounds cool. So essentially, then we go on and there's a flashback to March 2018. And that's where Happy Hogan appears. If I remember correctly, that was announced by My Time to Shine, and we were all like, what? And essentially, Deadpool is trying out to be part of the MCU. And he says Happy's, Tony's chauffeur, and his special power is parallel parking. And essentially, he doesn't make the cut, and Happy says, hey, you might as well just kind of meet on the middle ground, maybe. Then we jump 6 years into the present. Deadpool has on a wig, and he is a used car salesman. Like, once again, we've seen in the trailer, bada bing, right there, and he's working with Peter. And Peter says, why don't you go back to being a superhero? And obviously, great idea, Peter. Let's go. So essentially, then it cuts on to the birthday party that we see in the trailer. Once again, I'm gonna throw it here and I'm gonna throw it here. And essentially, Peter and all them are talking to Wade, and they're like, happy birthday. And Peter got his nipples pierced, and it goes down to where. And he's showing people at the party, and everybody's loving it. Apparently, Vanessa and Wade are broken up, like we knew. She's dating somebody else, and then all of a sudden, knock at the door. It's the TVA agents. They're like, hey, you need to come in, blah. And he's like, this isn't my first time pegging, just a first time for Disney. Take him, capture him, blah. He goes to Paradox. Paradox says, we need you in the 616 sacred timeline. Or is it the sacred timeline? Pretty much then it goes on. We see obvious reshoots, and he's very happy. He goes on to look at the screen, and he noticed that Thor is crying while holding Deadpool. And he's like, why is Thor crying? But we'll get to that. So pretty much then we got the iconic scene where it's the whole suit up. Wade breaks the camera. I don't know if that's a fourth wall breaking, but he breaks the camera, goes to the tailor. The tailor starts groping his front and back, and he goes and tells Paradox that that guy is a pervert. Essentially, then Paradox goes on to explain that, Wade needs to go to that universe because his anchor died in that universe. And Wade's like, I'm the anchor, how? And pretty much, no, it's Logan. Yes, Logan from the film 2017, Logan. If you remember, I said that a while ago. I actually broke that story on Twitter/X and on YouTube. And then essentially it goes on where Paradox says he wants to speed up the death of that universe. So obviously get rid of it. And it's not an incursion. It's like vanishing. It like explodes or something. We don't exactly know, but that's just the gist of it. So essentially then next, you would think Deadpool breaks Paradox's nose. That's the one where he has the band-aid where somebody else was saying it was Wolverine. No, it was Deadpool. Deadpool breaks his nose, takes the temp pad, uses the temp pad, goes back to find Logan. Still dead. Didn't work. So then he goes into different universes to find a Logan across the multiverse. He goes to a bar, but the one at the bar is too short. It's the comic accurate Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman. He then goes to other universes, sees zombie Wolverine, sees other ones. Apparently they cut out some shots, which I am told that that's the Henry Cavill one. So apparently they're going and it cuts out to another part of a shot. So they kind of skip that part. Then you have Apocalypse Wolverine. Then you have the yellow and brown Wolverine. And then you have a Wolverine on a cross and much, much more, which is super cool. They're actually still hiding some things. Obviously, we don't know. I don't know yet if I've even heard of Patch is there. Someone said that Patch was shown, but then I've been told that Patch was cut away as well. So they're hiding those cameos, which we know it's Daniel Radcliffe. But next, let's go to part 7. So essentially then they end up at a bar. Deadpool's in a bar and he sees the Wolverine, you know, the drunk one that we saw from the trailer where he can't pop his claws because he's got whiskey claw. Pretty much then Wolverine passes out and Deadpool takes him to the TVA, to which then he wakes up behind him and he says, "He's behind me, isn't he?" And then essentially he wakes up, blah, blah, then Paradox throws them into the wasteland. Deadpool mentions Mad Max, but essentially then they go on to say they can't do that because the IP, it would be infringement. To which then they start fighting and Wolverine wants to kill Deadpool, and this is essentially where it ends. Obviously, also, I do want to mention that apparently Deadpool is pruned on his D right there. That is the part where he's pruned on his D. That's what, I believe it was Can We Get Some Toast said. So don't quote me on it, but that's just what I was told. Apparently then, we get a glimpse of the rest of the movie. Cassandra Nova claims herself to be Charles Xavier's twin sister. She puts her fingers inside their heads and we get to see other people. We see Juggernaut, Azul. We see also showed Lady Deadpool leading an army of Deadpool variants in a fight with our Deadpool, Wolverine, and a long-haired Deadpool, aka Dreadpool, aka Awesomepool, aka Chadpool, the one with the golden desert eagles. She then says a few words, but I couldn't understand who it was. Probably it was Blake Lively. She had a big blonde ponytail. We've actually seen that today. Those photos actually came out. There's also Headpool in that scene. There's also Cowboy Gunslinger Deadpool, and there's also Golden Age Deadpool, which is the one with the weird tactical mask with like the gas mask on it and the red suit. I actually put that on Twitter. Not the actual picture, but the comic version of it. And I also talked about it on shorts on here and on TikTok. So check that out. Essentially, another part is Deadpool says that the MCU is just a cameo fest and him and Wolverine just came back for the money. A cool little kind of stab at the MCU. Apparently, they're going to be doing a lot of stabbing at the MCU and Disney, which I think is going to be awesome. And essentially, the last scene, apparently, it's part of one of that when they're going through the multiverse, is Deadpool going through and he sees the Hulk going to fight Wolverine. Wolverine and Hulk are, going to combat. They're going to do this thing that's finally over a decade long. Hulk punches Deadpool, he goes back through the portal, and that's it. You don't really get a fight. I told you so. But I'm super excited for this. I think it's going to be awesome. And obviously with Kevin Feige saying this is going to be the introduction for the X-Men, it makes sense. If the way this movie ends, which, there's rumors going around, it makes a lot more sense for the next film that this is building up to. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not Secret Wars.